Welcome back to the Banganator podcast, brought to you by your host, Esley Banga. This is episode 24, and we talking Cowboys offseason once again. Man, they've been busy. They've been busy making plenty of moves. Finally, an offseason where the Cowboys actually look into free agency and make trades and make moves. I'm excited to get into all of this. Before I get into all of the spectacular moves by the Cowboys, let me remind y'all, please go follow my Banganator podcast channel. Follow me on the Banganator podcast Instagram page as well. Let's get to it. I've been excited to talk about all the moves that the Cowboys made in the offseason so far, especially the most recent ones, which are the biggest ones. It seems like the past decade or two, the Cowboys almost never do anything in free agency, whether it's make trades, sign people from free agency. They don't do much. So, and all the Cowboys nation feels this way because I talk to my friends who are Cowboys fans. You know, I'm scouring the internet, seeing what other Cowboys fans think, listening to the radio, and all the Cowboys fans are happy about this. We're making big moves whenever we never did before. The Cowboys seem to have a little bit more urgency in the offseason now, instead of just relying on the draft or in-season trades. So let me get into these. Let's start with Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore was sent to the Cowboys in a trade from the Colts in exchange for a 5th-round pick in this year's draft. So I think that's extremely valuable. Stephon Gilmore will be extremely valuable on the Cowboys. He's going to go great on the opposite side of Trayvon Diggs. We know how great Trayvon Diggs is. And imagine that. Stephon Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs. They both ball hawks. Stephon Gilmore got 2 interceptions this year. 53 solo tackles, 66 total tackles. So he's still that guy. How many passes defended? 11 passes defended, which are knockdowns. So he's still extremely valuable. He's going to beef up our defense. Dan Quinn is going to use him well. And the Colts need that pick. They need that 5th-round pick. They were bottom of the barrel last year. They need all the assets they can get. They need all the draft picks they can get. So it's a win-win for everybody. Another bold move that the Cowboys made was releasing Ezekiel Elliott. Feed Zeke. Hey, I'm going to miss you, man. But it was time. It was time to go. He was on the decline. You could tell. Tony Pollard was making more plays than him. And Ezekiel Elliott, he didn't have that same burst that he had as his first 3 years in the league. And it's understandable, the running back position. The Cowboys also did it to save cap space. So the past 7 years, he's been rocking with us. He's been rocking with Dak Prescott, his best friend. They came in the league together. It's going to suck to see Zeke in a different uniform. I do believe he'll be picked up by another team at some point. Just thank you for your service, Zeke. In 7 years with the Cowboys, he's had 8,262 rushing yards, 68 rushing touchdowns. So he really a big impact on the Cowboys the past 7 years. Just not enough the past few years. But, hey, good luck and God bless you, man. Another great move that the Cowboys made was trading for wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is a nice, shifty receiver. Not only does he help out your passing game, but he's reliable. He makes plays. He gets in the end zone. He makes catches. So in 2022, he had 57 receptions, 699 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. And you can use that. They'll free up CeeDee Lamb a little bit more. They'll free up Michael Gallup a little bit more. So everybody gonna eat. So I really like this move. It really helps out our wide receiver core. And Dak Prescott, if he limits the turnovers, we can make this a really good offense. The most recent move that the Cowboys made was releasing tight end Dalton Schultz. Now, he just got picked up by the Houston Texans, and the Texans are the same way as the Colts. They need all the assets they can get. They're rebuilding as well. They were in last place of the league last year. So I'm going to miss Dalton Schultz, but this was the only move that I didn't really agree with because Dalton Schultz was our best tight end, but I kind of understand because we do have two other tight ends that are pretty good as well. Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot. They were making plays last year too. So the Cowboys, I guess, didn't want to pay Dalton Schultz, and they'd rather stick with the cheap tight ends, but also good tight ends that they have. So I get it. It's a business move. But it was fun watching Dalton Schultz make plays for us. Again, good luck in Houston. And now we're going to finish strong talking about Texas Longhorns. It's basketball season, so you know I'm talking March Madness. The Texas men's, they won the Big 12 championship. So they're conference champions. They beat, in the first round, they beat some unheard school, some school I never heard of called Colgate. Now, I like Crest better myself, but they won. They blew them out 81-61. Marcus Carr and Dylan Dessou, they led the way with 17 points each. And they beat Penn State 71-66. Dylan Dessou went off. Like, at the beginning of the season and at the beginning, like, during the Big 12 tournament, I didn't even know who Dylan Dessou was. And then now all of a sudden, against Penn State, he leads the way with 28 points. Like, he really took over. He also had 10 rebounds. So I was like really impressed. Really impressed. We made it to the Sweet 16. We face Xavier on Friday. So I can't wait for that game. It's going to be fun to watch. Actually, I'm going to be at a Mavs game, so I won't be able to watch it, but I'm going to be keeping up with it on my phone. So can't wait. Let's go, Texas. Unfortunately, I can't have the same energy for Texas women's basketball, but I am proud of them. They did come a long way, and they did make me proud throughout their postseason. They got to the Big 12 championship against Iowa State, but they ended up losing. And then come tournament time, March Madness time, they won in the first round against East Carolina. Shaylee Gonzalez, she ended up getting 20 points in that game. And then Louisville, they just had a game against Louisville. That was their second round matchup, a round of 32. I thought they were going to advance. Well, actually, I knew that they were going to have a tough time defending Haley Van Lith. I already knew she was a good player for like the past 2 years. So I knew that she was going to be a problem. Rory Harmon ended up having 10 points. I knew before the game that Rory Harmon had to be like stellar. Like she had to show up, and she didn't. I said, if she didn't show up, we're not going to win. And that's what happened. Deanna Gaston, she ended up being the leading scorer. She had 12 points. Haley Van Lith, she put on a show. She had 21 points for Louisville. So that goes to explain why we lost right there. We just couldn't keep up. We ended up getting blown out 73-51. So Texas, better luck next year. Thank y'all for tuning in and watching this episode of the Banganator Podcast. Please like and subscribe and follow my Banganator Podcast Instagram. And y'all know how I do for the teams I rep. How about them Cowboys? Let's go Mavs. Hook 'em horns.
The Banganator Podcast is brought to you by Esley Banga, diehard fan of the Dallas Cowboys since 1997. How about them Cowboys?